From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher, and their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicky Fisher, and our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. Their mission: to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Welcome to the Garage Heroes in Training Podcast. I'm going to be one of the hosts for this episode, and my name is Bill. Who else is hosting?
It's me, Vicky.
It is me. Hi, May. How
Hi.
you doing?
Hello.
Hello. We are very excited. We have a guest. Our guest has been racing for at least 6 years, maybe more. I don't know. It turns out that we knew who he was before we met in quotes, on the internet and then talking on the phone. He is part of the round 3 racing team with WRL, and he races with, which car are you in right now?
Currently in 609.
609. He's in the 609 car, which is awesome. And for those of you who are not aware, the Drive Within is broadcast on Motor Trend TV, also on the Hagerty's website. And I believe the last episode should be, if the schedule doesn't change, should be airing in the next couple of days when we time this, hopefully. He is, in addition to being an avid auto driver and racer, he is also a tech guy who understands way more about technology than I even pretend to in some of my proposals. And he is the originator of the Sentinel, which you may have seen on some YouTube videos or in the Drive Within broadcast on Motor Trend TV and Hagerty. And we're going to be talking to him about all kinds of fun things today. And with that, we have James Candelaria. Welcome to the podcast, James.
Hey, Bill. Thanks so much.
Welcome aboard. Miss Vicky, you have the ball.
Yes. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? A little bit of a history. How did you basically get into racing?
Sure. So it's kind of funny. I've always been into cars, right? So I've always, when I was little, kind of into cars. Had a crush on a Corvette very early on, and decided I'm going to buy one of those. Funny story, my wife was pregnant. Well, we discovered my wife was pregnant, and I went out and bought myself a Corvette the same day.
Ouch.
That goes over well.
Yeah.
Was it a C5, C6?
C5, yeah.
C5, okay.
It was one of those things where I realized I wouldn't let myself buy it later because there'd be a lot more obligations, but I had 9 months of wiggle room at that point. So I said, let's go ahead and buy a C5. So I bought a C5, and it was a street car. And I did many stupid things you do as a young person in a C5 street car. It was fun, good time with it. And then somebody somewhere along the line told me, you could take that on a racetrack. I had no clue this was a thing. So I went out and took it on a racetrack and did my first track day in it. And at that point, the car made something like 800 horsepower. I put a blower in it, and my instructor was scared out of his mind. He didn't want to be in the race. He didn't want to be in the car anymore. He didn't have a cage. It was a basic street car with a big old blower on it. And I was instructed by him to try to rein it in a little bit. But of course, I had a great time. He didn't. I was instantly hooked. Fast forward a little bit. I didn't have a lot of free time or free money to continue to play with race cars for a while. I was starting a new business. I did a tech startup that we eventually sold to Cisco Systems. After I sold the business, I took some time to kind of enjoy my passions. And that's when I really started jumping headlong into learning to drive properly on a racetrack. Cycled through a lot of cars, Ariel Adams for a little bit. Those are super fun. If you've never driven one, I highly recommend it. Not a great race car or track car, but super visceral, no body work, no nothing. It's very much you in the car in a very short wheelbase with the engine in the wrong place. So super fun. But then I decided to get serious about it and took a racing school down at Lucas Oil, down at Sebring Raceway, and had a lot of fun with that. And decided I'm going to go racing. And I bought a C5 race car. I raced that for a while. I raced that for almost 4 years. Different versions of it. but all in SCCA in the Touring 1 class. Had a lot of success in that car regionally. Then we went on to do some major stuff with it, and eventually showing up the national championships runoffs for a few years. And super fun.
Oh, so what is your professional life outside of racing?
So I'm still in the tech business. So I founded, after we sold the business to Cisco, it took a few years off to try to find out what I wanted to do. And then, I decided I wanted to combine my passions of motorsport and technology together. And so I founded Candelaria Racing Products, and we've developed a couple systems. We also do custom development for race series and sanctioning bodies that need things to maybe enforce rules or what have you. But the first product was something we called the traffic collision avoidance system. You guys have ever watched IMSA GT LM class racing? You'd see Corvette Racing runs a system like this from Bosch that has that warns you of approaching cars from the rear, if there's overlap in blind spots, that kind of stuff. Huge failure, absolutely huge failure. Nobody bought it. Yeah, it was cheap and nobody bought it, and it was 20 times less expensive than the Bosch system. I think I retailed it for $1,500, and the Bosch system was 20 grand, something like that. But nobody bought it.
So what cars are you racing now?
What am I racing now? So I have a C6 Z06, which I've had a lot of success with in Touring 1 and SCCA. Love that car. 7 liters of V8. There's not too much you can shake a stick at with that car. It's great. Front runner and almost pretty much everywhere we bring it. And then I also race a BMW M4 GT4 in WRL in the GTO class.
Okay, how do you guys choose your cars, and why do you choose the cars that you have?
So in round 3 racing, they have an arrive and drive program that I got involved with very early on after being involved with Brad McCall, who was who's the team owner. And also we raced each other at the national championships in Sonoma in 2018 for 45 minutes, door to door. You couldn't put a piece of paper between us. I mean, it was a great race. Going to turn 11 side by side in Sonoma. I mean, there's nothing like it. We got a lot of airtime and on the national broadcast. It was super fun. After the race, he told me he's starting an endurance team and decided to ask me to join it. And so they ran an arrive and drive program with Porsche Boxsters for a while. And I drove them for a couple of years. First race at round 3 racing ever had in their endurance program. I was there at Road Atlanta. It was cold. We broke 3 transmissions. It didn't go very well.
Wait a minute. You broke 3 3.
Yeah, not
you
me.
Get good at it. It's easy.
How did you manage? I mean, I could see 1, but 3?
Yeah, I mean, there was something. I think that 6-speed had an issue. Brad probably tell you what was wrong with it. That 6-speed was not designed for what they were doing with it.
Okay.
And it broke once. We put a new one in it, broke it again, and then they put another one in it, broke it again, and they retired the car.
So wait,
is it a 6-speed?
So you're giving him junk, and we single-handedly used up every slave cylinder for a Porsche in northeastern Pennsylvania, and you're giving him junk for doing this at one race.
Well, I'm just wondering if it's the transmission. It might be like our truck when you can't throw it into 5th.
There is no 5th.
There is no 5th. You throw the truck into 5th, and it just shreds the transmission.
Oh, yeah, that would be a problem. You'd have to tell drivers that first.
Yes,
we do.
Okay.
We do.
Most of them say yes, no problem, and then others get out of the car saying, I didn't use 5th except when I needed it. I'm like, no.
It's true. It's true. Hold on. Let me see here.
I'm back.
Right. So where do you see like you're in the racing, and right now, I mean, you guys are doing really well. You guys have the program, right?
You still got an itch though. Something
right.
else
They
he
got an
wants to
itch.
do.
Now, I know. Where do you guys see yourself going with this?
So I'm a customer at round 3, but the team has expanded dramatically. It was first 2 cars, 3 cars, now it's 4 cars. I mean, I don't know where they're going to stop, but now they run Caymans, which Mo Dadka runs a Cayman, Lonnie Unser, what else? We got Cole Loftsgaard, Dennis Neal, Jim Patak, and who's the other driver there? Carter Peace is in the other Cayman now, 705. And I'm running the BMW M4, and Brad is running another M4. So they're trying to keep at least more than one of the same type in the team all at once, so that there's we can share a spares package. And that actually works really well.
What kind of M4 you guys? Which model year?
So it's a 2018 M4 GT4, so factory built BMW race car.
Big boy cars. Okay.
Yeah.
You got to detune them though. I mean, WRL has a maximum power to weight of 9-1, so it's they're fairly well detuned, but they're super fun.
See, we don't have any cars where you need to detune them. They come detuned.
It's a lemons thing. I mean, we're getting there. We're getting there.
We're clawing our way up the hill.
We're clawing. We literally started from nothing. Nothing. So, all right. So what is your basic position on the team besides racing? I mean, do you fulfill any other responsibilities?
Yeah, so I'm a driver first and foremost, but more than that, I'm the video guy, right? So we've got, I developed the Sentinel video system. Was my second product, which hasn't failed. I'm very happy to say in a year we have 110. We shipped 110 systems in 12 months, so we have a lot of cars equipped. But when I'm at the track for round 3, I'm the guy setting up all the feeds, making sure all the cars are broadcasting.
You're the tech guy.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We need one of those.
Yeah, it's a handy skill, but you shouldn't let too many people know you're that guy, because then they expect things.
We never get around to it. It's like
we keep expectations low on everybody. So
yeah, it's like by the time we need like that one guy that's dedicated to.
What we need to do?
What's that?
I'm going to steal a punchline from later. We need a system that's simple, starts up easily, pretty much runs itself. Ideally, it would integrate with the data and perhaps even stream this. That would be fantastic if only one thing existed like that. We'll talk later.
Only somebody.
We'll talk later. So, unfortunately, there's a story to tell that perhaps we should get into about an accident you had a little bit ago. Is that something you had prepared to discuss with everybody?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I had, like you teed it up for me, I had a pretty nasty wreck at Summit Point about this time last year. I mean, it's probably only a couple weeks in between this date last year. I was competing at Summit Point, Maine in SCCA in Touring 1. We went out and qualified very well. Car was excellent. It's a C606 I race now. And we had a very bad first race, only because some out-of-class cars were really just performing poorly and really messed up the T1 race. But in the process, we had me and some BMW E46s, my buddy Jonathan Vasquez and Hugh Stewart, had gone out and reset the track record. And I think they got it by a tenth better than I did, but we all ran underneath the track record, so we knew that the next race on Sunday was going to be a good one. So fast forward to Sunday's race, we go out on the pace lap. Everything's fine. Car's great. Warming up the tires, scrubbing in. They drop the green, and all of a sudden, going to turn 1, my brake pedal is real squishy. It doesn't feel good. I'm thinking, oh, great. So I back off, get out of it. I'll let the field go through. And, I'm pumping up the brakes with my foot. And all of a sudden, the pedal comes back. I'm like, oh, this bad pad knockback. No big deal, right? So I'm playing with it the entire rest of the lap. And I'm making a decision if I'm coming in the pits or not. But I got coming to turn 10, nice firm pedal. I stand on it, and the car stops. I'm like, all right, well, I can't win this race, but I can go reset the track record. So I went and I made an attack at coming out of turn 10 and coming down on the main straight on Summit Point. And I went to the brake pedal at my normal braking point and went to the floor. I'm doing 100.
Oh no!
Brutal. I mean, I was doing 153 before I went to the pedal, and within that split second, I had to make a decision if I was going to, go through the sand trap, hit the wall, or I was going to try to turn the car. And so I decided to try to turn the car, and I ended up making contact with a Mustang's solid rear axle with my driver's door. Post-race analysis shows that we crumpled the frame rail into the seat.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't recommend it.
No.
Yeah, so we ended up with a fractured pelvis in 4 spots.
That was you. I know this accident. Sorry, I didn't know it was you.
Oh yeah, it was me. And yeah, they had to cut me out of the car. Thankfully, I didn't need a helicopter ride. But
did you take a ride nonetheless?
Oh, I did. I ended up in the ER in quite a bit of pain. Didn't walk for a few months. Eating pain pills for 6 weeks. I mean, it was not fun.
No.
Mm-mm. So what was the ultimate reason on what caused it?
So
diagnosis of the car.
We have not found a root cause. So when we rebuilt the car, we pulled the master and we pulled all the brake equipment out of it, scrapped the calipers. But we did find when we looked at the car, there was no fluid in the front brake circuit. So whatever it was a hydraulic issue.
Did you redo the lines at all or no?
Oh yeah, this was the new car that you see racing today, if you see my car, is a new tub.
Okay.
The only thing that we brought over was the diff, the trans, and the motor, and the shocks.
So having experienced the joy that is a nice soft pedal going into turn 1, different turn, no Mustang in my way. Any tips for our listeners who may experience a weird feeling brake pedal and what to do, and perhaps more importantly, what not to do?
100%. You take a brake. I am a firm believer now in, if you feel anything's off with the braking system in the car, put the car in the box, get it on pit lane, and sort it out, because it's going to end badly 99 times out of 100. I mean, it's not worth the risk.
Agreed. I think luckily it was an inconsequential turn with tons of runoff for me. And it was the first time that I ever realized I had potential to be a racing driver, because I'm going into turn 1 at pit race, which is a big sweepy left-hander with tons of runoff and just infinite amount of space. And I push the pedal to the floor. It goes to the floor, nothing. And I just turn the wheel, make the turn. And my first thought, instead of what's the matter with the car or what can I do, or my first thought was, damn, I could have been going through that turn so much faster every other time. What am I doing? So,
yeah, but you brought it into the pits after that, yeah?
Yes, we did. And then my beautiful bride says, wait, the brakes are on fire. And she stands in front of the door with the fire extinguisher pointed at the brakes, not letting her husband get out of the car. But hey, we're good.
Yeah. Arrow. It was bad arrow. So okay, in our learning process. So I always ask this question. I always find it fascinating. What is that one thing that you tell yourself, and a motto that you live by when it comes to racing? Do you have a philosophy? Do you have a thought process that this is who I am when you go racing?
I don't know. I've never thought of it like that. I've always I'm a very technical and analytical person by profession and training. Mm-hmm. So I'm the guy who looks at the data, and, I can look at someone else's data in the exact same car and go, all right, I need to do this better. I need to do this better. I need to brake 50 feet later. So I guess if my motto is anything, it's better living by analysis.
Mm-hmm.
What if we change it a little bit, and instead of you personalizing it, what if you have a friend who goes to you and says, hey, I know you race cars. I'm looking to get into it. What should I do?
Get instruction. Get good instruction. Find an instructor you click with, and absolutely, pick his brain. Even if he's not going to be in the car with you, have him do video review with you. I think we all can learn better initially by working with a good coach and a good instructor.
Yeah.
Agree. We agree.
So would you consider yourself? I'm just a theory. It's just. Are you a technical driver or an organic driver? Like, do you go by feel, or you definitely just go by points, just basic points on a racetrack that you just kind of try to hit, or do you just kind of go for the feel of where you're supposed to be? And
I think it's kind of a little bit of both for me. So so this last weekend, 609's first debut race, I had to feel the car out. I needed to know how the car felt when I was putting inputs in the car. So I think there's two stages of racing for me. It's figuring out what the inputs feel like, understanding what the car feels like. And then once I know that and I know what the limit feels like in the car, I think at that point I transition being a data-driven driver, where I can take a look at the data from the hot shoe in the car. For this weekend, it was Cole Loftsgaard, who we borrowed from Team 705. Who's a little bit faster than me, a little bit faster than my other co-driver. And so we all did a data review session. And, that's when I picked up a bunch of time, actually, in the S's at NOLA. I saw the car could carry more G, and I was like, all right, well, it clearly can do it. It says it right here. So I just drove it harder in the S's, and I picked up a second a lap. So
do you ever, when you drive, do you ever have that self-preservation, like, pucker?
I think you have to. And I think that's why I'm slower than some other people I race with, is because I don't want to die.
I'm still working so hard to get through that. I did. It's that glass ceiling for me.
She refers to certain turns on certain tracks as diamond turns.
Yeah, it's that glass ceiling for me. I just want to know if other racers still have this as they go up into the.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think the high speed corners are really where that self-preservation instinct kicks in, right? Because your brain is fighting you. Your brain is saying, "This is too fast for me to feel like speed." And then have you ever driven a big aero car, Vicky?
No.
Okay. So that's a new thing. So if you drive a big aero car, that will bend your mind, because the aero only works if you're going fast enough.
Oh,
so you have to drive faster or you will crash.
And then you have to have basically, I mean, this is me speaking out of turn, but from what I've heard, because I drove the same cars as Vicky, but you almost have to have two different turning G's. You have the high speed one with the arrow working, and then you have the low speed one because the arrow's not giving you as much oomph.
Yep, 100%. So you have mechanical grip corners and you have arrow corners, and the limit is different if you're in arrow versus not in arrow. And it's mind bending.
You really got to force yourself, don't you? You really got to force it. All right.
Yeah, that's fun.
It is. So I have my introductory question to the round 3 racing team and the drive within is, did you guys decide to make this show just to make us feel so bad about our home videos that we take at their track, or is there another reason why you guys decided to do this? I'm just curious.
I won't speak for the team owners, but I think that they really wanted to show what they did, right? I mean, show what the experience of grassroots racing is. Now, it can be argued that round 3 is less of a grassroots program because it's, in a, multiple cars, but it is, it's still everything you guys are doing in Lemons, just more of it, right? There's 4 cars involved simultaneously. It's the same group of, guys in the paddock. I mean, Motorsports, I think, transcends any level of budget. We're all programmed in the same defective way to think that this is a good way to spend money. And that's good stuff.
It is, and I talked with Mo about this on earlier. It is the first show that I've ever seen, including all the TV coverage of all the different races, that ever made me feel what you feel when you're involved with an endurance race. You can watch the 24-hour Le Mans, you can watch any of the endurance racing, and you don't get to see and feel the excitement and the pain and the effort and the oh my God, am I tired? And this kind of gave you a bit of that. And hopefully if people watch it, it'll make them even want to come out to the track even more, I think.
Did you see the Sebring episode?
I saw all 6 episodes, and they have a permanent save on my DVR, and I watch them every now and then just to make myself feel happy, especially in the wintertime.
Well, you mentioned the exhaustion. So the Sebring episode was really cool because, you know, there was a large amount of exhaustion in that race.
Yes, cars and people.
Yeah. Have you guys ever driven Sebring, either of you?
No, we haven't gotten down there yet. It's on the list.
Well, let me know when you come down. I'm happy to show you around the track. It's my new home track. So.
Oh, nice. Our home track is Pocono, and if you ever come up to drive Pocono, we apologize.
Yeah, we don't.
It's not
our next
Pocono.
our next. I think our next favorite is Pitt.
Yeah, Pitt.
I've never driven Pitt race.
Pitt's awesome.
It's a lot of people. Well, several people don't like it because it's not the fastest track in the world, but it's the thing I like about it is it's got not a rhythm, but it's got the same type of feel. Like it's one homogeneous lap makes sense. It's like there's nothing out of place. Like when you do like a Roval, they're kind of like 2 race courses, maybe 3 race courses bolted together. This one feels like this was designed.
It reminds me of Road Atlanta a little bit because it's got so much,
topography.
It's got a lot of topography, elevation. It's got a bowl in it. The track is smooth. It's consistent.
There's no stupid corners. There's no corner that goes like, what is this doing?
Yeah.
There's 19 of them, and there's a few that I still don't have them right, but I keep working
but if you do it right, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, that's how I feel about a lot of tracks. Sebring is one of those places where once you get it right, it's just unbelievable. But there's I'm sure you've seen video of turn 1 and turn 17. There's a lot of racetrack.
Yep.
You just don't know where to put the car at first. So
it's a multiple choice exam, and no answer is right. Yeah,
exactly. None of these are correct.
That's right. It's kind of like madness at Mid-Ohio. It's like, I've tried just about every line I can think of, and I can screw all of them up equally, especially in the rain.
I actually get to drive Mid-Ohio for the first time this year. I was injured last year, so it's my first time at Mid-Ohio. Would be in a fast car, being 609, the M4. So
this is what you would like to do. It's going to rain. It always rains. Just hope that you get out there in the dry first.
Yes.
Because when your first laps at Mid-Ohio are in the wet, man, I don't know how you push it when it's dry, because when it's a demon in the wet.
It is. It bites you if you're not careful.
I've heard it's literally the scariest place when it's wet. I don't know what it is about it, but maybe it's the sealer that they use.
It's the sealer. I think it's the sealer. I think it's a combination of the sealer and the age of the asphalt itself.
I always like to look at it as like playing lava when you were a kid. There's certain places that you just don't want your tires to touch, and you have to zigzag around the track to avoid those spots.
Oh, God. Well, let's think dry thoughts for the WR.
Think dry thoughts. We're going to be watching. We're going to be watching that one.
I'm not rooting against you, man, but it's like it's got its own climate. It's gonna rain. It just does. So I have this really simple way of determining how wet the track is. If it's like kind of wet, I'm like half a line out, and if it's wet, I'm a full line out. Mid-Ohio, when it's wet, it's the exact opposite. Like if you're supposed to be tucked in on the left hand, you just go all the way to the right hand side and just do the opposite. And when you cross
completely
over,
off the racing line.
You can't see the racing line from where you're going. Wow. It's fun. So let's get back to something that's productive and not me trying to tell people how to run in the rain. Last season, which car were you in for the round 3?
601. So it was in a Boxster. We had just wrapped it for VIR and the new Sentinel clothing, and it came out great. And we had some challenges with the car last year, mechanicals. We had my teammate had an unfortunate incident with a wall in Daytona, which I'm sure you saw. You saw the drive.
Yes.
So that put the car down for a little bit, and then when we got it back at VIR, we had some mechanicals, and then we had a great race at Sebring. Awesome. Finished P2. Couldn't have been happier. Car, nobody put a foot wrong. And then at Coda, we had a little another mechanical that kind of took us by surprise. We were leading the race, and we had to retire the car.
And this year you've changed over to the BMW in a new class, new car, new team, new people.
Mostly some new people, some new faces. My co-driver from last year, Christian, is also driving 609. His first race will be Mid-Ohio, and then he'll be with us for Road America. Brian Ganelli is also driving with us. So he's joining us starting at Barber.
Nice.
And then I picked up some people to fill in. Christian wanted to run the whole season, but work got to be far too enveloping. So he had to cancel some dates. So this next race at Barber, I've got a good friend of mine, Jonathan Vasquez, who races against me in T1 in a BMW M3, E46 M3. Okay. So I picked him up as a co-driver for Barber. So this should be fun to race with him instead of against him.
That way you both can win.
Yeah, exactly.
It's easy. So you've worked your way up from starting about 6 or 7 years ago. You've gotten into racing. You're at what we would consider a very high level of racing. It's not, F1, but I don't think any of us in this podcast and most of our listeners aren't aspiring to be F1. Any tips that our listeners should think about when they're either looking to get into it and improve themselves or to improve their cars that you would offer to them, like prioritization? There's infinite ways to spend money in racing. So
yeah, I think we hit on some of it before. I think the first thing is get quality instruction, learn, have somebody, once you know the basics of an apex, a track out and all that stuff, and are able to be safe on a racetrack. I think best money is probably spent in learning how to drive, learning to refine that with an instructor or a coach. I think that's a huge, probably the best place to start.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Any things to look for or things to look out for getting that instruction or that coaching?
It's funny. The best coaches aren't always the fastest guys, right? So it's the guys that communicate the best with you, who can tell you what you need to be doing and get through to you. So I used to take martial arts, and it's the best example I have of this is my old martial arts instructor. Like something wasn't clicking with me. He was such a good teacher that he was able to teach the exact same skill in another way that finally clicked with me. I think that also goes in with motorsports. If somebody isn't speaking your language or isn't getting through to you, and you can't do what he's asking you to do, you need to find somebody who can work with you better and help communicate better.
Mm-hmm. That's why Vicky doesn't listen to me about racing at all.
It's a husband-wife thing.
It is. It definitely is.
I wish I could get my wife into racing. I mean, she likes to watch, but I can't get her. I can't even get her to do parade laps with me anymore. I took her out at NJMP parade laps in her old car, and she wanted out within I don't know, half a lap.
It's just not her thing.
No, it's not. But it's okay. I don't enjoy a lot of her activities either. So. But she watches mine. I don't watch hers. So.
Oh, okay.
Well, our team seems to specialize in getting these significant others involved in the sport, at least tolerant of the sport. So if you need any assistance, let me know.
We serve up margarita popsicles in the dead of summer.
Oh, I have to come to your paddock.
We always have icy pops.
Our paddock game is strong. Our racing game, TBD, but our paddock game is strong.
We have a very strong paddock game.
My wife loves to come and watch, and she loves to support me. Like, she is literally the most supportive spouse on the planet when it comes to knowing what this involves and how much it means to me. So I will never say a bad thing about her support of racing, because it's been unbelievable. Even after my wreck, some significant others would say, you're done. You're risking too much. You've got a family. She, to her credit, came and was like, all right, so how long is it going to take you to get back in a race car?
She knows it makes you happy.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, I will never say a bad word about her support, because it's been unbelievable. And I wouldn't do it without her. Like, I wouldn't, racing is a very selfish sport in a lot of ways. If your family's not involved, and so I wouldn't be able to do it if she wasn't into it. So.
Yeah, I don't enjoy it nearly as much when Vicky and the rest of the team don't come out. So
yeah, We bought a motorhome just so the whole family could can come to the race. So
That's the way to go. I'm sworn off of buying any vehicles at this point in time because my beautiful bride is going to shoot me if I buy any more.
Yeah. Yeah. The wife is the one that has to work on them, so it makes it difficult.
So you have car owner virus?
I do.
Me too.
Yeah. I think it comes with the, because every car race is different. It's just.
It does. That Boxster and me never got along because it raced different than what I'm used to, a front engine rear drive car, Corvette. Mm-hmm. I've had a lot of success in that Corvette. I put it on the podium at the runoffs in 2020. But and I get into the Boxster, and all of a sudden, like, the dynamics are different. So mid-engine car, it rotates differently. The center of rotation is different, and I never found the success I knew I could have in a front engine rear drive car, which is why I went to the BMW for this year. Mm-hmm. It's more, it makes kinematically makes more sense to me than the mid-engine car is.
Sure. Yeah, I think I have single-handedly driven most of our team crazy because I have just about every type of variety of car, and we keep switching. It's like heavy front-wheel drive, heavy front engine rear-wheel drive cars. We've got light front engine front wheel drive cars. We've got it's just like anything I can do just because it's well rounded. I don't want to get to be a one trick pony kind of thing, but it'd be nice to have
front drive cars are actually better on a racetrack than I thought. I drove an Audi RS3 LMS TCR car a couple of years ago, and I was blown away about how good a front wheel drive car can actually be racing. I did not give it enough credit. It was a very good car.
Yeah.
But we're getting ready to experiment with one.
Oh, yeah? What do you got?
We have a 1993 Civic that we're in the midst of our first
Civic DX hatchback.
Yeah.
So that's a B16 motor?
Yep. Yes. Oh. And that's going to be our predominantly endurance racing car and sometimes HPD car. And then Vicky's favorite car that we have is a Honda Fit that we're destined to go.
No.
Oh, they're cool.
This car showed up without my knowledge. So we're in the process. It's stuck on the lift right now because we have to put it back.
It's her new favorite car, and we'll be. I love that face. We'll be doing B Spec and Sunday Cup with Grid Life, and maybe even for HPD.
That's what I was hoping you were going to say, B Spec, because I'm like, those are perfect B Spec cars.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, so we have work to do.
We do.
So we have to get the Civic finished first, and then that's going to be the next project because it's stuck on the lift, and I got to get on the lift so we could use other cars on the lift.
Somebody else is waiting its turn, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Barely waiting. So like we said, we have a fairly mature paddock game. We're pretty good. We got our food down. We've got all our supplies down. And then we started thinking, one thing that could help our team is, we're trying to get into our data, and we started testing all the different data telemetry systems that we could find. I think we're up to like 9 or 10 of them now. But the thing that we never got a really nice way of getting our video together with our data would be ideal. And then, the wild dream would be to be able to stream it either to ourselves when we're at the track, or being able to watch everybody, or ideally for our teammates who aren't at the track, perhaps. And then I get this call from this guy. He looked just like you. And he said, "Hey, I've got this thing." And it didn't click when we first started talking. And then you said the name for the second time. And I'm like, wait a minute. That's that little icon that I see in the bottom of all the cool videos that I usually watch to like learn a new track or watch somebody race and try to see what I'm not doing because they're doing so much better than me. And it made sense. So we started talking about that. And I think we'd like to get into it a little bit about what the Sentinel system is.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you. So glad to see you saw it before we talked, because it's really starting to make some progress in the endurance racing field. But basically, I was frustrated with the state of video and how you can get it broadcast across the internet. for years racing, because the last thing anybody wants to do is mess around with electronics at the racetrack when you're really trying to figure out how to drive faster and drive better. So I wanted something simple, easy to use, that you could just take up and throw in the car and know that it's going to work, and know it's going to work for 8 hours straight and not have to touch it. So my background is obviously systems engineering, and so I set about doing this. Went through a few different iterations, but I guess it was CODA at WRL last year. We decided to launch it as a for sale product. And we've been lucky enough to find success in the WRL paddock. I'd say we've probably got 30 to 40 cars equipped in WRL, 110 sales in 12 months. It's going pretty strong.
So how does it work? And what does it actually do?
Okay. It is essentially it's a motorsports video system, right? So it can support up to 3 cameras. With picture-in-picture. So you've usually got your main camera looking out the front of the race car. You've got your driver camera, and a lot of guys would like to throw in a rear camera so you can see the action behind you. It also has the ability to integrate data, like Bill, you were talking about, is you can plug your Aim data system directly into it, and you can get your oil pressure, your water temperature, RPM, all that fun stuff overlaid directly into your video feed. You also get your race hero data, which is really important when you're watching an endurance races. How far ahead, how many laps down am I, et cetera. All that stuff is overlaid directly onto the data stream. So you can see your best lap, your last lap, current flag status, your current position in class, who's in front of you, who's behind you. Get all that stuff overlaid directly onto the video stream. It's all streamed via LTE. So you're at the mercy of the cell phone network. So some tracks are better than others. CODA specifically is amazing. Sebring is very good. Road Atlanta is good. We had a couple units out there. But you may struggle at certain racetracks. But it's the cell network's getting better every day.
So when you're actually working with this device, does it hardwire into the car? Does it wire into the modules? Do you have to run lines and create like
sensors and things?
Yeah.
So in a modern race car, which I know in your current stable isn't the correct verb or adjective, you have most of the stuff is communicating via CAN. So your data system will tend to plug into CAN bus. So AIM, for example, will plug into your CAN bus. We will plug into your data system, and then we'll pull all that stuff out of your data system. So if your data system can see it, I can see it. As far as the rest of the wiring goes, it's pretty simple. It's 12-volt wiring to a voltage converter, and then the output of the voltage converter goes to the box itself. The box actually, I know you're not a video podcast, but Bill, you've taken a look at one of these things, right?
We put it together in like 5 minutes. I was amazed. I was expecting days.
Yeah, I mean this is the box. It's
right.
Kind of small. It's got camera ports on the front, USB ports for various accessories like recording to USB, which is funny. The USB sticks. One of the things I love about it, and the reason I designed it this way was, everybody's got a GoPro or what have you. You're messing around with micro SD cards. How many times you drop them or lose them or forget to put them in the car. It becomes a challenge. This system uses a USB stick. One of the ones we certified is right here. Stick it in the front of the machine. It's always recording at a much higher quality stream than you're actually broadcasting. You record it to your USB stick. So you get a broadcast quality image, as you saw on the Drive Within. Was used on television for the in-car shots. Right. That was all recorded directly from Sentinel.
Okay, so then it just broadcasts through your phone, or you kind of hook up your phone to the computer?
No, so what you do is it has its own modem.
Okay, all right.
You get a SIM card and you plug that into the modem, and the great thing is it's a smartphone data plan, right? So you don't need a byte for byte, pay by the gigabyte wireless plan. You can activate a smartphone SIM, stick it in the modem, and you're good to go. Unlimited data. You don't have to worry about counting. I don't know how many hours that I broadcast this month, etc.
Right. And right now, system
I'm so
compatible.
techno Amish.
You are. I'll explain it later.
Okay.
So right now, you are integrating with the Aim Telemetry family of products.
Yeah, so AIM was our first target, and we've got that nailed. You plug directly into an AIM data hub. So if you have a Smarty Cam already, which I'm sure you guys have seen or maybe own a few, you can plug into you can put a little 2-port hub on the back of the Smarty Cam or the back of the AIM Dash or the AIM Solo, and you plug the Smarty Cam into it and you plug the Sentinel into it, and all is good. But we're also just committed the code to the repository to do Motec as well.
Okay.
So if you have a Motec ECU or Motec data system, you can pull all that data out and extract that as well. And in the future, you're going to have the ability to dump in any CAN profile you want. So if you have, let's say, an E46 M3, for example, you can just plug in the CAN database for that and pull all the data out of it without having to own a data system.
Well, that's convenient because this is going into an E46 330, which is almost the same.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a little confusing right now.
What does that have? Is it M54?
Yes.
Yeah.
So once it's in. So it can't really transfer very easily from car to car.
So we sell a pre-wire kit, right? So that allows you to put the antenna and cameras, gives you an extra set of cameras and antenna, and all the wiring necessary. And you can just pick up and move the kit from car to car. You pick up and move the actual brain, I should say, from car to car.
So for our listeners at home, he's holding up what would be a relatively thick paperback novel that you read on a beach that nobody wants to ever see. Nobody admits to reading these, but anyway, somehow they sell millions, but that's okay. So we right now, the car that we're putting this into, and we're going to use ourselves as an example and kind of get some free tech support while we're on the podcast. It's got a AIM Dash, which we have not hooked up yet, and that's the only reason we're not already having video and everything running, because the AIM Dash is actually a lot more complicated than what you have. And then this just communicates with the AIM Dash, and life is good, life is grand. It literally 5 or 10 minutes we had yours set up, and then we started looking at the AIM Dash, and it was like, ooh,
they're complicated. They're complicated and they're Italian, but they work really well.
We'll find out. Anybody feel like coming through? What's that?
The new BMW I have has an AIM Dash in it, and I love it. I mean, it's great. It's got everything I need in one place. It's they're real nice. Man, they're expensive.
Yes, they are. But the anybody who's in northeastern Pennsylvania and feels like stopping by, knows about AIM Dashes, let us know. We'll put you on a podcast. That's fine. Any future options that you see that you say, I didn't solve this problem, or anything else that you're looking at in terms of motorsports?
Yeah, so I mean, we're gonna keep iterating down the Sentinel line for a while, but I think the next big rock we're gonna move into Sentinel is the ability for us to do full-on telemetry as well as video, right? So yeah, we can overlay it on the video stream, but a lot of times having a sideband interface when you're endurance racing is you don't want the world to know when you're going to pit for fuel. Having a real-time, it's with no lag telemetry system that'll tell you, critical things about like where the car is on track. So the guy on the radio can say, okay, you're coming to turn 14 and box, and so you can get a real good situational awareness.
Okay, that sounds like fun. I mean, the thing that I think, one of the things that we noticed when we first started getting into this was just the sheer amount of inputs that a driver has to deal with on the track, and this is one way to not only be able to integrate all this together, but actually have someone sitting in the pit who can help the driver, because especially when you're beginning, the last thing you're going to be looking at is your gauges, right? And first laps, gauges, don't need no stinking gauges. You could put black tape over them. I'm not looking.
We
I've
don't
got cars.
need no stinking gauges.
So it's kind of a nice having a backup plan, and also being able to kind of monitor some of the way that the car is behaving over time. And you can see like, hey, the water temperature is starting to gradually creep up, and the driver may or may not notice that, especially if it happens when a driver change or something with an endurance race, which
For us, it's always fuel, right? So it's always that we're getting towards the end of the stint, and we got get a call from the pits going, I need a fuel reading on the front straight, and it's the front straight is usually fairly boring, as you know, but it's sometimes it's not, and you've got to distract your attention, or you read it wrong, or it just becomes a hassle. So typing telemetry is a good thing. I see a lot of use for it, and customers keep asking for it. So that's it. So that's where we're going next.
Should be fun. We're very excited. You shared with us one of your systems, and we'll be integrating it into one of our cars. And if I can figure out how to do it easily and succinctly, I'm going to have it in 2 of our cars at least. So we'll share the wealth. But hopefully some of our listeners have been intrigued by this and would like to pick up one of these systems perhaps in the future. Is there a way for them, a way for them to contact you, or a way for them to look into ordering your system or looking at it?
Yeah, absolutely. So www.sentinelvideo.net, only because Candelaria-racing is very hard to spell. It's got a lot of letters. So sentinelvideo.net will redirect you to my web store, where you can get a bunch of information, see sample videos, check it out. And we'll also have a discount code for your listeners. GHiT, discount code GHiT, as in Garage Heroes in Training, will get you 10% off anything from our store. And we'd love to support new people getting into racing. And I think it's a great way to share it with the people at home and the people who are interested.
Well, we may be using our own discount code shortly to get that second system. Now, if I could only remember what the initials of our team is, I'll be fine, but that's fine.
Mental.
Yeah. So what we talked with James about this system, and what we're going to do is we're going to basically give a report moving forward on how we assess the system, how it was to install the system, how our team likes using the system, and our interactions will be with the system. So this isn't the last time you'll hear about Sentinel systems, and hopefully we will be doing this rather shortly and in this upcoming season, and try to keep everybody apprised of it. And the other thing that we were going to do for James was, if anybody wants to see one live, we plan on having it at all the races that we go to, whether it's an HPDE or a race event. So we'll be there. And if you have any interest, our schedule was publicized a couple of weeks back. And if you have any interest and want to come see it, feel free to come by our paddock area, and we may bribe you with stickers and show you some video, as long as you promise not to tell everybody else that we're losing to how badly we're doing. That's fine. We'll let you in. Good.
We're getting better.
Thank you.
We are getting better, but it's so much more fun to beat that self-deprecating humor,
Yeah.
So Miss Vicky, do you have any idea what this thing does now?
I have an idea.
Okay. That's a win.
I have an idea.
You just want to see it work. I know you.
Yeah, I do want to see it work. Is there a place that we can go to get more information on the install?
Yes. So on my website, on my web store, there's a support page, and I've shot 2 fairly long, lengthy videos showing you how to install it, and I'll walk you through every button on the interface, so you get a clue, you get an idea of what it does, why you want to hit that button, what changes it makes. It's, in my opinion, being a guy who extensively researches things, sometimes it's easier just to see it laid out in a video and see it actually done. So I spent the time putting together those videos. Check them out. I mean, I think they're worthwhile.
Okay.
Is there someone at
That helps.
AIM you could talk to about them doing the same for one of their dashes? Because let me tell you, that is rough.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really good guys out there in the AIM business. I think that they make their living on the fact that it's impossible to do for the normal person in a reasonable amount of time, and it gets outsourced a lot.
In the instruction book says, hey, this should be installed by someone who's competent and has done this many, many times before. But if you do choose to continue this, here is 7,000 pages that you can read. So
it works great, though. I mean, it's a lot less expensive than some of the other solutions out there. I mean, it's still not cheap. But I mean, I've learned so much. Like I said, I'm a data guy. So the fact that so many people have the same system, they can just give me their data file. I can look at it and I go, oh, I can break 150 feet later. So I'll just go and do that. I mean, it's invaluable in that respect, at least for me.
Well, so Vicky was talking before, and she was asking whether you were a feel person or a data person. And I'm just sitting in my head going, he's kind of like a robot like me.
I was thinking that came across.
I know. And then I'm sitting there going, is he as much of a robot as when he's driving, he's actually thinking about his inputs to draw the trace to match what he's actually doing in real life? I'm just curious. I need to know.
The thoughts come over my mind before. Usually it's because the guy who's going to be looking at it later is going to yell at me for being a chicken.
You weren't flat out. You were not flat to the floor. Yeah.
So I drive in SCCA. Phoenix Performance takes care of my car. So Andrew Acalante, a 12-time national champion, I think currently, has often reviewed my data, and I'm afraid of what he's going to see when he looks at it. So I have that voice comes into my head. It's like, you weren't flat. You were not flat.
Yeah, I've done that to Vicky. She was really not happy because she had this habit. And it was just a habit, and her sister has it too. So I think it's genetic. But they'd be going down the long straight, and like 3/4 of the way down, they would just lift and not finish and not go to the breaking point, and they just lift. It was kind of like, I'm going fast enough. I'm good.
We really, it's something we really are working to push through, and it's not 3/4. It's in the brake zone or shortly before the brake zone, but still, it's
lies.
Data will always find that lie. I'm telling you, how many times?
Yeah, I know.
Have you guys ever driven Thunderbolt at New Jersey Motorsports Park?
Yep.
All the time. She lifts at the flag station. Just saying. At the flag station.
Stop it. No.
Well, I'm thinking more like turn 12, right? So turn 12, depending on what you're driving, can be driven flat. And, I know I've come back to the paddock going, I was flat through there. And it's like, and the data says that was a lie.
That was a lie.
You need to recalibrate what flat is. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that track a lot. I was a member at NJMP for a long time, and we've had a lot of success there.
Is that the small track or the big track?
Big track, the one you like.
Oh yeah.
Lightning is the boring one. Lightning's the one with the banked corner right before the main straight. It's really fast and it's fun in a fast car, but I think Thunderbolt's a lot more technical and more fun.
There's only like 2 turns on Lightning that are fun.
Which ones do you like?
I kind of like the one, I think it's 5 where it goes over the hill and down to the right.
Turn 5, yep.
And then I think turn 1's a challenge. The bowl is fun just because it's a bowl, but it's not really challenging. But turn 1 and turn 5, I think, are the ones that separate the big cars from the little cars.
Yeah, I love turn 1. I love it. You're right. It is. The sight picture is challenging. Turn 5 is fun once you figure it out, because I know a lot of people have gone off there.
Yep.
What's also fun is if you're giving a point to Vicky right now, you got to get the car to apex. If you don't get the car to apex, you run out of racetrack real fast.
Yep.
You know what else you need to do? You need to check your tire pressure before you go out in the morning. Just saying.
Oh, I sense a story here.
Bill rolled off the tires.
Two tires, rolled the beads.
2 tires.
Right off.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. Not even close to tire pressure. The best part was I was an instructor that weekend, and I took my student out who was at the track for the first time.
My sister.
Happens to be Vicky's sister.
Older sister.
And we did 2 laps, and it was kind of like, semi parade laps with somebody new in the car, and life is good. And then you started feeling the tires starting to come in, and the track was starting to come in because it was first thing Saturday morning. And I'm like, okay, now we can go. And I go around turn 1 at reasonable speed, and I start picking it up a little bit. And I go over turn 5, and both tires just roll right off. I was just like, this sucks. But anyway.
Yeah. And it was like, well, we got that out of the way.
Yep. She didn't have to worry about going off track. She saw what it's like. It's not that bad.
So if you ever want to be a jerk at NJMP and just point somebody around on the outside of turn 5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they'll take it, and it's hilarious.
Yes, it is.
It is true. It is true.
It is.
Fun track.
Miss Vicky, I think we've got a little bit of time. Do you want to do a quick Fast and Furious? We'll pick a few.
I think we should. You're familiar with our Fast and Furious, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
Okay. I think that I think going into a little bit. So we're going to ask you top of your head? Just some questions to get to know you better. And I would like to ask you, what was your very first car? And what was the worst car you've ever had?
They're one and the same.
Yeah, that usually happens. Usually ends up.
1982 Ford Mustang 4-cylinder.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Tell me.
Bought $700. Lost compression in 2 cylinders, and we didn't even have the title to the car. I'm 17 at this point. Mm-hmm. And so I call my dad or whatever, and we were like, okay, we're going to drive back to the dealer. And like, they never gave us the title. This really isn't a real transaction anyway, so they'll figure something out. So we drive it back to the dealer. It catches fire on the way to the dealer. I am not kidding. I'm not making any of this up. We put it out with a can of iced tea and a hat. We just the car under fire. We have the car towed back to the dealership and dropped. There's one of these, you guys know New Jersey. It was Tom's River down off of right by the shore. One of these awful used car places. That's
right by Fisher Boulevard. I know exactly where it is.
Yeah, you know the area and the type of people we're dealing with.
Yeah. So that's one of those cars, 0 to 60. I'll let you know when it gets there. Still waiting.
We dropped the car in the middle of the dealership lot during the busiest part of their day, and demand to see the manager. The manager comes in and starts blowing smoke. I'm like, I'm not leaving without a different car. They end up giving me a 1983 Chevy Chevette.
That's an upgrade.
It was a car, and I was 17, and I didn't have much of a legal case, so I took it and I left.
I guess.
And it ran longer than the Mustang. So.
Well, I mean, that's not saying a whole lot, sir.
Wow.
So you've been a vet guy for a long time.
Oh, that was the joke. I had an 83 vet. So in high school, my physics teacher was into cars. He's like, oh, what do you drive? Like, oh, I got a vet. And he's like, what year? I'm like, 83. He's like, they didn't make Corvettes in 83. One year they didn't make Corvettes.
No C3.5 there. Yeah.
I went out and saw it, and he was like, and he just burst out laughing. It was great.
Fantastic. Awesome. So usually there's this one car, could be a model car, could be a neighbor's car, could be a family car, it doesn't matter. There's one car that got you to be the car guy that you were when you were growing up, maybe when you were young, maybe when you were older. It depends on what car was your taproot car, sir.
Had to be the C5 Corvette. It was one of those things. The first time I saw that car, I was completely in love. I came from modest means, so I had I figured eventually I could afford one, and at some point I ended up making it so, and I've been a Corvette guy ever since. I don't think I'll ever be without a Corvette. I race them, I drive them on the street. I've had many. They're just that was the car, and you guys are in the racing business too. You know how much car they give you for the dollar.
Have you had your hands behind the wheel of a C8 yet?
I have one. It's in my garage. It's great.
I guess you have then.
They're fantastic cars. More than anything else, I can say it's finally a no excuse Corvette. Mm-hmm. Corvettes always used to be it's good for the money, or it's good, but the interior is pretty awful.
But kind of car.
Yeah, that doesn't exist in the C8. It's just flat out good car.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
So, what is the one thing that nobody knows about you that would surprise them, or few people that know about you?
Well, anybody who has ever seen me since I've been racing would never know that I used to be 324 pounds.
No. Just looking at the video, I wouldn't know that.
Yeah, I've been. I had gastric bypass in 2009, and it changed my life.
Wow.
Well, it definitely has, because
congratulations.
You are not 300 pounds now.
No, I am not. I lost 150 pounds. So
yeah, I was gonna say you lost a person.
I lost a fairly sizable teenager. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, did you have a favorite race driver, perhaps growing up?
Funny thing is, I never was into racing until I started doing it. I was always like, it's weird. Like I never NASCAR. I watched the Indy 500. I'm a child of the '80s, so Al Unser Jr., AJ Foyt. I mean, watching all that stuff, watching Mario race, but like it was once a year. I didn't follow IndyCar. I didn't follow F1. I didn't care about NASCAR. But once I knew I could get in a race car and do it myself, then I started following racing.
Right.
So my current, I guess my favorite F1 driver has to be Ayrton Senna. I mean, just from a sheer natural talent standpoint, I don't think there's been anybody like that guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a guy like me. He's not a data-driven guy. He was a field driver. To your question before, Vicky, I think he was definitely a field driver.
Mm-hmm.
And I am very envious of that. I'm envious of people who can get in a car and instantly feel the limit. And I wish I could be that guy, but I'm not. Everything I build myself up to where I am. So watching him was a treat.
So I've got a favorite race car driver story that involves one of your teammates. So I'm a little bit older than you, like twice. And my mother used to work for a company called Topper Toys, and they used to make these Johnny Lightning. It was like a version of Matchbox and Mattel Hot Wheels. So they had these Johnny Lightning cars, and they were in this blue. The one that I had was a car carrying case, and it was blue, and it had these lightning bolts on it. And it used to have all these cars that were basically an homage. I'm not sure if they had a license, because this is, early days. I don't know if they had licenses or not, and I was very little, but to Al Unser, which would be senior, but at the time was Al Unser. So Al Unser I used to play with my Hot Wheels cars, or his car when he was racing in the Indy 500 when I was little. So if you want to give Lonnie some bad flashbacks to when she was on the podcast, I don't think I told her, but I might have. I don't know.
I just saw Lonnie this weekend. She's a great sport. She had a bad weekend at NOLA. The car didn't work, but she's a good sport. So great driver. We shared a car. Lonnie and I shared a car at High Plains Raceway in 2020, and we won. Great driver.
She is.
Again, it's in the family, right?
It appears to be. I don't know if it's genetic or not, but something's going on there. There's way too many to be a coincidence, I think. But
Johnny Unser raised a heck of a daughter there. She's fierce in the car.
Yeah, and super nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great
Yeah. So okay, what was that one car that got away?
Oh, that's a good question.
I'm about to have one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That's a hard one to answer, because I feel like the Viper at one point was the one that got away, but I bought one and don't meet your heroes kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I bought a 1997
Handles great
Viper
for a truck.
GTS. What's that?
It handles great for a truck.
Yeah, exactly. It's a big UPS truck. I mean, this one had 1,400 horsepower, twin turbo. It was ruined mostly by the previous owner, and then again by me, and it just no good. Yeah. But I would like to have, to point to your question, I would like to get a late Gen 5 Viper ACR. I had an opportunity to buy one ACR, but I didn't pull the trigger, and now they're $300,000, and I'm not going to buy them.
Yeah, they look like they're beastly cars.
Yeah,
I have a self-imposed limit on my car, so I have no interest in going that fast, because that's really fast.
Yeah, that's a lot of race car. And it is essentially a race car. There's not much street car left in it.
So. Not at all. So speaking of race cars, and since you're a racing driver, the question that everybody asks us, that we embarrassingly have to give a number that seems to be much lower than what we would like it to be. What is the fastest you've ever driven in a car? Where and when? I know, it's such a terrible question. Everybody's like, how'd you do? And I'm like, well, we averaged 61.4 miles.
Now, it comes from people who don't understand racing. I mean, who don't understand road course racing.
Absolutely.
But I mean, it gives them a touch point. So I guess you can't fault them too much. Like they can identify with the sense of speed. They can't identify with the sense of G's, right? Most people never put a set of Hoosiers on their car and turn the corner as quickly as possible. So the answer for me is 165 or 163 in a race car at Road America before the brake zone at turn 5.
Okay. You know what? Speaking to the G comment that you said before, Debbie, Vicky's sister, said the most amazing thing to me when we were driving. We got out of the car. I think it was Saturday. It might have been Sunday. It was all the stints kind of blend together. And she goes, I just realized that I don't have to hit the brake every time I turn. That was her big takeaway, was like, it's not required, because like if it's a series of S turns, you don't have to hit the brake every time. Yeah. And she was just flabbergasted she could turn the car without hitting the brake. I'm like, yes, they're not connected, separate.
That's right.
Did you follow up with the fact that the steering wheel can also be used to slow the vehicle?
Not at that point.
She hasn't learned that yet.
Okay.
It was this was my other sister. It was her very, very, very first HPDE.
Gotcha.
And
I think it was her first time ever being to a track.
Yeah.
Not even drive.
So. And she's like, I really have to process this and what just happened. And then, of course, she came back, was like, that was amazing.
It's sensory overload. The first time
it really is. It is. It's information overload. It's sensory overload. There's a lot going on. Yeah.
She had a great time.
Super hard. It's super hard for a new person, like you said, on the racetrack to take it all in, because it's like sounds and sights, and you're looking for a turning point, and and it's, how fast am I going? Do I need to? It's a lot. I'm never critical of a new student who I'm working with who needs a minute. I'll bring him into the pits, and if I see that something's going wrong, I'll bring him into the pits and be like, all right, let's just take a break and digest, and maybe go back out in a couple of minutes. Maybe we take the session off and download and look at video or what have you. But it's a lot.
Yeah, so many things.
So, what's your favorite track so far?
Ooh, that's a hard one. I have a couple I love.
It's going to be Mid-Ohio in the rain, but go ahead.
All right, how about your top three?
Okay, so that's easy. That's a lot easier. It's definitely VIR is there, Sebring, and Road America. Road America, because I had great success there at the runoffs, and it's just a beautiful place. Have you guys been?
Not yet. It's on the list.
Oh, it is like a national park. With a racetrack thrown in it. It is gorgeous.
That's the one right by where Douglas is, Vicky.
Oh, okay.
Then VIR, because it's VIR, right? I mean, you guys have driven VIR, right?
Not yet. It's on our list.
Okay.
We became aware of the need to go to VIR right when the plague came, so we have not been able to get down there. So
in the before times we would have.
Yeah, VIR is probably one of the best places on earth. I mean, the elevation changes, the technicality, the speed of the racetrack, unbelievable. I could spend, if I could only go to one racetrack ever again, it might be VIR.
Really?
And Millie's Pizza, outside of it, it's, you guys from the Northeast, it's not real pizza.
Okay. I was gonna say down south pizza, really?
No, it's a meal, but it's not pizza. It's good. Okay. Just make a stop. And then Sebring, because Sebring is just legendary, right? I mean, they get 12-hour there every year. Mm-hmm. The racetrack has more bumps in it than the moon. Mm-hmm. It's very challenging, but it's extremely rewarding when you get it right.
So James, I'm going to give you two gifts. One is the question, and two will be the face that Vicky makes when I ask the question. So we're going to win the lottery. We're going to have a desert island. And on that desert island, we have racetracks. We have a dirt track. We have an asphalt track. We have any kind of track that you need. And as a thank you to our guests on our podcast, we want to make sure we have the right cars for you to fully enjoy your visit to our island. Which 5 cars do we need to have for you, sir?
Okay. Do they need to be production cars, or
they are 5 cars?
Okay.
It could be a taco truck, as all Jennifer wants.
Will Turner has a good point. Taco trucks are amazing.
They are.
But I would have to go with the C8R from the current IMSA program. I have to have one of those. I'm a Corvette guy after all. Mm-hmm. I'd need some type of formula vehicle. I would love to have the Mercedes outgoing F1 car.
Well, Lewis said he'd send it to you, just, since you came on the podcast. It's fine. We got that.
That's very good of him.
He's a nice guy.
Oh, geez. What else do I need? Something just straight up fun, like an Ariel Atom, just for fun. I've had a couple of them. They're.
Do you want the Safari one that you could go off-roading in?
Ooh, the Nomad. Yes, there you go. All right, the Nomad. Absolutely.
Okay. There you go.
Well, I'll take an Atom and a Nomad, so that's 4. And
Just,
well, we gotta have
to take the pressure off you. We've had many guests call me or write in after they hang up saying, no, I want to. So don't feel bad. We can ask this question again in the future. This is just your first 5.
And then I think that, I would have to have racetracks there. I'd have to have a motorhome. So I'd have a big old
I'm sorry. We have housing for you. You're taken care of. You're good.
Okay. All right. And something obnoxious like a 720S, a McLaren 720S.
Oh, very nice.
Just for fun.
You know what we're going to do for you? We are going to give you a bonus car of our choosing. And it is going to be a 1984 Mustang.
Oh God! Can you set it on fire, please?
That does not catch on fire until after you have beaten it around the track, and then we have a bonfire to end all bonfires.
Yeah, it comes with a free bottle of iced tea.
Exactly. That thing was heinous. I mean, it was so bad. You'd pull the door handle and it would come off.
Wow.
I mean, it was what you expect for $700, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
I grew up in New Jersey. I know what those cars are down there.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Where would your ultimate road trip be to and from, and in what car?
Ooh, that's a good one. I always wanted to do the Cannonball route just for fun. I don't have any intention of risking my life or other people's lives in trying to make a time in Cannonball, but I'd love to do the route sometime just for fun. And in what car? Ooh, I don't know, something comfy. Mercedes S63 AMG.
That'll get the job done.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in doing the one lap of America, or is that?
I thought about that. The problem is I have the car that I would want to do it would be my Corvette, and it's a little too high strung to make the transits. I mean, the motor's probably only going to last 100 hours before we're going to need to go through a rebuild, and one lap's going to eat through that a lot. So
it's an FFS type car. It's a far from stock.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, actually, it's not. It's really a crate motor, but it's a crate motor it runs 100 octane fuel, headers, and we spin it to 7,100 RPM. So, as you know, RPM eats engines, and we run it at a pretty good clip out at the front in SCCA. So it needs going through occasionally.
Okay. So Jennifer's not here, and she wishes that she was, but in honor of Jennifer, we have to ask her favorite question, which is, what is your favorite car movie or car from a movie of all time?
Ooh, favorite car movie. I always liked Gone in 60 Seconds and Eleanor.
I don't know if we're allowed to say that on the podcast. We might get sued for copyright infringement. They're pretty.
Oh yeah. Nicolas Cage is it. Yeah. Jerry Bruckheimer and Nicolas Cage might come after us.
No, it's the person who built it. Apparently, they're.
They're litigious?
Yeah, a lot.
Oh.
Miss Vicky, you got your last one?
Yes, I believe so. What do you think was the worst car that was ever made?
Ooh, I thought about this one before. There's a lot of really bad cars out there.
Yeah.
There had to be something in the 80s. I think it has to go to the K car, right? I mean, it did nothing well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Sold well.
It did sell very well. I don't know how that happened. They must have been really cheap. But yeah, they were garbage. I mean, they didn't go, they didn't stop, they didn't turn, and they drank gasoline. A friend of mine had one, and in high school, and we had nothing good to say about it. So I think that'll be the K car.
That pretty much nails it down. Yeah,
there you go.
I agree. So, sir, our listeners will be using a discount code, hopefully thousands of times, of GHiT. They would be putting the code in. Where would you like them to go to?
It's www.sentinelvideo.net, and during checkout, all they have to do is enter GHiT for an automatic 10% discount.
Okay. And if they wanted to follow along with you about your racing endeavors, is there a way to follow along and keep up to date with your exploits?
Absolutely. So you can check us out on Facebook. Look for Candelaria Racing Products, and also follow Round 3 Racing on Facebook and Instagram, and you'll see Car 609. We're out there almost every event this year, and many of your listeners want to check out the system for a weekend. I have my sales and support guy at the racetrack every weekend for every WRL event. We can throw one in, no charge, and let you guys experience what Sentinel's all about for the weekend.
And they can come by our paddock and see one in live and in color. Actually, yeah, it is in color. Everything's color. Who knew? There is a rumor that our schedule may allow us to come and see some of the Round 3 racing. So we will not slow you down. We will not get in your way, but we can watch cars go really fast. So we may be stopping into the paddock and saying hi in person this summer.
Oh, great! Yeah, let us know if you guys can come down. I'm happy to put out some hospitality. Like I said, I got the motorhome, and we can make it a fun event.
It sounds like fun, sir, and do appreciate you coming onto the podcast. Hope you had a great time, and hopefully, if everything goes as planned, tentative plans, we know how that goes for racing season. If car breaks, who knows what the plan is? Hopefully, we'll be seeing you in real person.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
right.
Vicky.
No problem.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, sir. It is. So, shall we get started, my dear?
I am ready.
I was talking to James.
I'm ready.
Come on, that was funny. Nothing. I get nothing. Anyway. All right, very well.